Hi there. Have you ever taught a demonstration before? I know you're thinking, oh, I've never taught anything. Well, you've probably done a demonstration before. If you've ever taught your kid how to tie their shoe or how to hit a baseball or anything like that, you have taught a demonstration. You just didn't know it. My name's Kelly Tucker, and today we're going to talk about demonstrations. This is my second training video for my course, and I want to challenge you today to take some notes, ask questions at any time as we come along, and see if you can make yourself be better at presenting demonstrations. The first thing we need to talk about is what's in it for me. Why would you even need to know how to do demonstrations? Well, they're a very effective and fun method of teaching, and it helps ensure that all the information you teach during your demonstration is going to be retained by your students so they can use it again at a later time. There are basically 5 parts to developing a good presentation or demonstration. That is 1, the planning phase. 2 is organizing. 3 is your visual aids. 4 is going to be your delivery method. And then lastly, number 5 is practice. How much preparation time have you used when you've conducted a demonstration in the past? Think about that for a moment. If you committed very little time, it probably came out poor. But if you give yourself adequate time, practice it several times, it probably came out rather well. This is because planning is where you can perfect your process. During the planning phase, this is also where you're doing kind of a needs assessment on whether or not you even need to do a demonstration video or training method. You need to ask yourself, can the demonstration be completed in the time allotted? You need to ask yourself, can the demonstration be broken down into step-by-step, easily followed parts? You need to consider your audience. How much background information do they have on what you're going to be teaching? If it's something you're teaching at work, there's a chance that everybody might at least have some sort of knowledge or background on what you're going to teach, so you don't have to be as thorough or in-depth. If you're teaching to a whole new, fresh audience, then you're going to have to be very thorough and teach them step by step in detail from start to finish. How big is the group that you're going to be teaching? Sometimes it might be a small group, say 1 to 5 people. If that's the case, then it can be done in a more laid-back and one-on-one type of presentation. But if you're a teacher at a big university, you're probably at times going to be teaching to a large auditorium, say 100 people. If you plan for it properly, though, a demonstration video can still be effective, whether it's 1 to 5 people or if you're teaching to 1,000. There are 3 different types of demonstrations. You have to decide what your purpose is. Are you trying to educate people? Are you trying to inform people? Or is your goal to persuade people that your method is better than others? Think about what the response is you want from your audience. Do you want them to try a new skill, or are you trying to convince them that your method is better than the method that they've been using? Second part, organizing. Once your initial plan is done, make an outline or a script. Basically, you're going to be writing a small speech. This will help you follow along and keep it in an orderly fashion. There are basically 3 different parts to a real well-written script. The first part is the introduction. This is where you introduce yourself and you try to capture the audience's attention. Second part is the body, and this is where you're going to present the step-by-step procedure and explain what you're doing as the activity goes along. And once you're done with your presentation, now you're at the conclusion. And this is where you're going to do I always call it a recap. Go back and explain what you did from start to start and cover it all one more time. This is also a good point where you need to make sure, ask if there's any questions. If anybody has any questions at all, have them ask them at this time. Also allow some sort of contact information so that they can reach out and get in touch with you if their questions pop up at a later time. Tips for choosing visual aids. Visual aids can be a multitude of things. You can use posters set up around the classroom. We used to use slideshows in the past, but now everyone does it with PowerPoint. PowerPoint presentations are great. They basically help hold your audience's attention and can lead you through the step-by-step process as you're going along. They are wonderful to have, but don't have too many, because visual aids are supposed to help with your teaching. If you have too many visual aids, then they can actually be a distraction and you can lose people's interest. When you have your visual aids, make sure you always have them handy. They must be in reach so that you can get to them in time. There's a multitude of type of visual aids as we discussed. You can even be old school. There are still people that in classrooms teaching using chalkboards. Flip charts are another one that come in real handy, as well as like dry erase boards. Flip charts, I made a little example of one. This is a very small one, but you'd have a much larger one if you were in a classroom. But I mean, it allows you to write down like why there, what you're doing, your topic for the day, demonstrations. Flip to the next page. Now you've got your step-by-step process listed out. And it kind of just allows you as the instructor to follow along as well. This can almost act like your cue cards per se. If you're planning on using electronic equipment, you need to make sure that you've gone and kind of scouted out where you're going to teach your demonstration ahead of time. Make sure there's electrical outlets. If you need any sort of extension cords, things like that, make sure to bring them and have the layout ahead of time. Also plan for anything that can go wrong. Sometimes electrical, say a fuse pops, or if you're using something that has batteries, odds are you're going to have batteries die. So always bring spares of anything you might need and have a backup plan in case of equipment failure. Some tips for a good delivery is try to be enthusiastic, make it fun, make it entertaining. Dress for the part. If you're in a casual setting like we are today, t-shirt and pants are fine, but if you're in your business situation, you might have to think more suit and tie, or the ladies have to wear a nice work dress. Just dress for the part, whatever the situation dictates. Always briefly introduce yourself, explain your interests or special skills in the topic, and then start with your opening. Lead right from the opening into the subject matter, and make sure to practice in advance. But if something doesn't go the way you planned it, don't worry about it. Just carry on, because things happen in the real world. If you're going to have a noisy part of your demonstration, say you're using a blender or something, be sure to cover that part ahead of time. Like right before you're going to use it, say, all right, we're going to use the blender, and explain why, then do the noisy part. Stay within your allotted time, but make sure you show all the steps of the process along the way. At the end of your demonstration, make sure you show your finished product. Let them ask questions. And if you don't know an answer to somebody's question, don't fake it. Tell them, I don't know, but we're going to find out. Don't ever lie to your audience. Practice makes perfect. Assemble everything you need ahead of time for your presentation, and find a friend, a volunteer, be your audience member or a participant. Make sure that all of your actions are in a logical order. Try to explain what you're doing as you're doing it. See if your visual aids are effective. Did you stay within your time limit? Do I know enough about my topic to answer the questions from the audience? These are all things you have to consider ahead of time. And your topic is really important. If, let's say for me, for example, probably wouldn't be the best demonstration video if I was to demonstrate shampoo and conditioner. Not going to work for a bald guy, but there are many things that I'm skilled at. I know a great deal about mechanics. I know a great deal about food, which is why we're in my kitchen again today. So just make sure you know the basics of what you're doing and how to explain them. So that is the basics. That's everything you need to know to have a successful demonstration. At this time, let's put some of our things together and practice doing a demonstration. We're going to make a fried bologna sandwich, and I need a volunteer from the class, and it's going to be Aileen. She is the teacher's pet today, and we'll see if she can follow along with the steps for making a fried bologna sandwich. So we're going to be using a griddle, and I have assembled the parts that we need today, and they are going to be, basically, it's really simple. We're going to have thick cut bologna, some baby Swiss cheese, and I've got brioche buns. We have some butter and a butter knife. And that's basically it, other than a spatula. I will need a spatula for today. So step one is we're going to turn on our griddle and let it start warming up while we prep. And for prep, let me see, we're going to start with our bologna. So if you have ever made a fried bologna sandwich before, they kind of bubble up. And there's a way to help avoid that. If you take your knife, and Aileen, watch what I'm doing, right in the middle, you're going to cut an X. Straightforward, yeah?
Yep.
Let's see, you demonstrate how to cut your X in the middle of your bologna.
Okay.
The wonderful part about this demonstration is there's not really a right or wrong way, it's just your way. Okay, and while that is also still warming up, I'm going to take the butter knife and I'm going to take some butter. And you're just going to take it and you're going to butter both sides of your bun, because what's better with a fried bologna sandwich than actually having your bun toasted? So there's one side. And I'm going to do the bottom as well, because if you're going to do one, you might as well do both.
Because you can never have enough butter.
You can never have enough butter. Now, if you would like to follow the demonstration there.
Nummy.
If you don't like fried bologna, first, I don't know what's wrong with you. But secondly,
For sure.
do it with any sort of meat you want. Just a fried sandwich, if it's, pastrami, if you want roast beef, whatever it, same kind of thing. Just follow the same steps and you'll end up with a fried whatever type of meat you want sandwich. Well done. Very good butter spreader. On the griddle, we want to put a little butter there as well, because once again, you can't have enough, and it helps for the fried bologna to have something to keep it, not that it would really stick, but it's just going to add something to it. So spread some butter around. The sizzle is a wonderful sound. More butter, okay.
You can never have enough butter.
Sometimes the guy teaching the demonstration gets taught. Okay, does that meet your satisfaction?
Yes.
Plenty of butter. Now, take the bologna that you have cut a little hole in the middle, and you're just going to lay it straight onto the melted butter. Aileen, follow the step there, please. And they're going to sizzle away. This is where I'm just going to go ahead and toast a bun at this time. We put butter on both sides. I'm just going to lay it butter side down directly onto the griddle. We'll let that one sit there for just a little bit while it actually does the toasting. And then we're going to see if Aileen paid attention to the demonstration, and she can do it as well. Even with the slits cut at them, they still kind of mound up a little bit, but at least there's now a place for that gas to escape. Give it a little press. A little press. It's looking pretty good. I think it might be time to flip. So take your spatula, slide under, and give it a roll over, and yes, got a little char going. Let's see. Oh my goodness, she's left-handed. I guess we'll not deduct any points for somebody being left-handed, but looks pretty good. Let me check my bun. And that has come out nice and toasted. Put that to the side. And Aileen, could you please demonstrate what we just did? There we go. Bun side down, top side down. Little press on the bologna again, and I'm going to check the first one. Flip it, and yours may not need to be flipped. They look pretty good. So at this point, I have cheese, Swiss cheese. I'm gonna lay that right across the top part of mine. Would you like to lay some
Yes.
cheese across?
Yes, I would.
Once again, any type of cheese you want to use would be just fine. Would you like to check your bun?
Yes, I would. It looks like it might need a little bit longer. It's not flat.
Not flat. Well,
Let's see this one. Okay.
looks good. Oh, that's well toasted. Okay. And I have just clicked the button to cut off the heat, and the cheese starts to melt rather quickly. Lift that off and find my bottom and put the two together. And there, look at that. Cheese is already melty, gooey.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. Probably gonna taste terrible though. There is what my assembled grilled bologna sandwich will look like. Aileen, would you care to follow up?
Lefty.
Lefty.
Oh, I did it upside down.
Oh, she did it upside down. So that's a perfect example. I mean, Aileen did that on purpose so she could demonstrate how failing to follow along in a demonstration would happen, and it's okay, but it's simple. We picked this one just because it's easy. It has only 2 or 3 items, took what, less than 2 minutes to perform, and now we're ready for lunch. Let's recap a little bit though. Let's go back and talk about what we discussed earlier. Our topic again today was on demonstrations. We talked about planning. We talked about the organizing. We talked about using visual aids. We talked about your method, delivery method, and then we talked about practice. We also talked about why you would need to do this. We talked about some times that teaching using a demonstration method might not be the best choice, but mainly you could kind of almost get them to fit any type of topic if you just plan for it. Use some of these steps and you'll learn and you'll be able to see that demonstrations, they're just a great way of teaching. And I'm missing out on my sandwich, so I'm gonna go eat my sandwich. Thanks for watching and you have a great day.